Hi everybody, this is Scott Sharp with Fretboard Toolbox, and today we're going to look at mastering keys in the key of G major on the Baritone ukulele. Let's get started and I'll show you how it works. So mastering keys is all about learning these three big ideas in the keys of C, G, D, A, E major, and then A and E minor. And those three big ideas are what chords make up the key, what are some common chord progressions, and what scales make up solos. So to see that, we're going to look at the Baritone, Essential Baritone Ukulele book, and we'll go down here to the key of G major page. And in the Essential book over here, which has the keys of C, G, A, C, D, and E, we'll click on the key of G. And then these chords here are the 6 chords I want you to know, and I want you to learn their Roman numerals. I can't stress how important that is. Learning what 6 main chords and what 6 Roman numerals go with those chords starts opening up a million cool ideas. There's a 7th diminished chord. I have it as a F major flat 7 chord, but we're not worried about that today. We're just worried about these 6 chords. And with the Essential books and Complete books, you can see which notes make up those chords. So there's 3 major chords, G, C, and D, and 3 minor chords, A minor, B minor, and E minor. So the first big idea is, can you play those 6 chords? And you rate yourself from noper, which means you can't, to yepper, which means it's super easy. So let's start with the G major chord here. And that's going to be all these notes in green boxes. So you can play G major here, which is the one you probably learned, but this is also a G major. That's called the G5 when you throw on this D, because there's no B note. You can play G major up here. There's all sorts of places to play it when you know what those notes that make up the chord are. But if you're just starting out, this first position, open, 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 first, 3rd fret, that's the one I want you to know. And that's your 1 chord, so rate yourself on that. And then for the 4 chord, that's your next major chord. It's C major here, so we can play E, G, C, E. That looks like this. I could also throw on this G. I could play a little bar shape here, a bar shape here. So playing all these shapes going up the neck. So you can pause at any point and see if you can find some of those shapes up the neck and then watch how they repeat. It's super useful. So that's your 4 chord. Rate yourself on that. And then for your 5 chord, D major, we can go open D and then A, D, F sharp, like this. I could throw on this, if you have long hands or long fingers like I do, you can throw on this A. I can also throw on this F sharp up here, and those are all really nice for melodies. So rate yourself on the D major, and then we'll start with the 3 minor chords. So A minor is our 2 chord, and you can play that E, A, C, E. Listen to how minor chords have these sadder sounds. If you can bar, that's A, C, E, A, and again there's shapes all up the neck. So that's your 2 chord, rate yourself there. And the 3 chord, we're not going to play in any progressions today. It's kind of a bear. We'll see why here. So the easiest one would be going open D and then B, D, F sharp, because B minor chords are always made of the notes B, D, and F sharp. So that is a B minor. I can also, if you can go all 4 fingers, that's changing this D to an F sharp. If you can bar, I can play there. And then that's B minor, B, D, F sharp, B up here. So that's your 3 chord. Rate yourself on that. And if you struggle with that one on baritone, join the club. It's not easy when you get started. And then E minor is your 6 chord. And that one is nice and easy. So that's E, G, B, E. E minors are always made of the notes E, G, and B. There's a little shape here. That's G, B, E, G. There's 9, 9, 9, 7. B, E, G, B. So again, all up the neck. So that's your 6 main chords. And then the next question is, how do I mess around with those chords, and what are some orders I can play those chords. So here's some common chord progressions, and I want you to know those Roman numerals and the progressions, and you can play those if you go to the Fretboard Toolbox website and you go to Tracks and Tab and go to 200 free jam tracks. I have all these jam tracks for all these different keys, and it'll tell you what essential or complete Fretboard Toolbox pages go with each. But for these first progressions, click this box here, and then you'll be able to play along with me on guitar all of these tracks, and played at 4 different speeds. And there's all kinds of good stuff to listen for with them, and you can see your major scale and your pentatonic scale, which we'll cover in a minute, and you can see what's the chord and the chord notes and Roman numerals. So spend a ton of time here. This when you're practicing the chord progressions and when you're practicing the scales and solos. This 200 free jam tracks is super useful. I know because I use them a lot, and they've helped me a ton. So that's your chord progression. So if I wanted to play a 1-5-1, that would be G, D, G. If I wanted to play a 1-4-5, G, C, D, G. If I wanted to play a 1-5-4, G, D, C. I always love that progression. And then a 1-6-4-5 is going to be G, E minor, C major, D major, G, E minor, C major, D major, 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. A 1-6-2-5, G, E minor, A minor, D major, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. So playing those chord progressions, enormous. I can't tell you how much of a difference that makes. And then for the last big idea, you want to be able to play some scales with it. And there's 2 main scales I want you to know, the major scale and the major pentatonic. And in my books, all of the major scale notes are in white boxes, and all of the major pentatonic notes are underlined. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, those are all your G major scale notes. And then the underlined ones, G, A, B, D, E, are your major pentatonic notes. And you can practice those with the jam tracks. I think it's easier to see the scales on the complete edition. And the complete edition's all black and white, but it has all of these scales for all the different major keys, the relative minor keys, and the blues keys. So if we go to the G major page there, this box is all the same without the colored circles, and all the chord progressions are the same, and then the fretboard is the same except there's no colored circles. So to play a G major scale, remember I want the white boxes. So to go from this G to this G, I could play G, A, open B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And watch which fingers I'm using there. So those fingers make it a whole lot easier than going. So learning to use those fingers and not move them as much. If you want me to do a video on that at some point, let me know, and I'd be happy to. So G to G, it would look like G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And I can go D, E, G. I can slide A to B, C, D, E. So pause that and just mess around with those notes. It's really fun to just kind of start getting those scales under your fingers. And then for the pentatonic, you're just doing the underline notes. So the lick I did at the beginning was G, the very beginning of the video. Slide A to B, D, E, and then G. And then I can't remember what I did after that. But that looks like this. And you can play those with the jam tracks, and that's where things get really cool. Let me just show you one, just so you kind of get the idea. This is a 1-4-5 progression, and I'll play along with the major scale here. And I'm just going to mess around with the order. And so let's show you how that works. So that's kind of an idea of just messing around with those notes, and then if you pay attention to what notes are in the chord, then when those chords come up, like when C major came up, I often hit a C note or an E note or a G note, and those are your three notes that make up C major. So if you want me to do a video on more detailed soloing kind of stuff, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments. So that's really the big ideas there. You can rate yourself on those scales, rate yourself on major and pentatonic, and then just kind of get the idea of where you're at. And at the end, I would want you to know that here's the key of G. I know what the 1 chord is, the 4, the 5. I know what a 6 chord is. I know where my G major scale notes are. I know where my what common chord progressions are. So when we're playing and a song comes up in the key of G, I already know what all the most likely things are. And then if there's a chord that's not one of those, I know what rule I'm breaking. Like if it's a song in the key of G major and there's an A major, I can say, oh, okay, that's a major 2 chord, because your real 2 chord in the key of G is an A minor. So anytime there's an A major in a G major song, it's like, okay, it's a major 2 chord. I can do that in any key. So anyways, I hope you found something useful today. If you want to learn more about fretboard toolboxes, go to Pick Your Instrument, where I've got books set up just alike for all these different instruments. And if you want to see the essential versus complete described and a video on that, that's really important. It's my #1 question I get asked. Or if you want to know about my print versus ebook options, or check out all my baritone videos. And if you click look inside on any of my books, you can download all the key of G major pages and all the instructions for free. So all the stuff I did in the key of G today, you could look at for free with the essential and complete, and see if either of those are useful to you. And also poke around in here. There's all sorts of free tools, and hit those tracks and tabs. There's a ton to find there. And anyways, thanks for stopping by, and I'll be back on more Fretboard Fridays with more videos on more of my favorite instruments.